seated, I'd like to call the meeting to order in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, PL 1975, Chapter 231. Adequate notice of this regular meeting of the Board of Adjustment of the Township of Franklin has been provided. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Betterbid, Ms. Grumman, Mr. Johnson.
Here.
Mr. McCracken, Mr. Rich.
Here.
Mr. Shepherd, Mr. Caldwell.
Here.
Mr. Rosenthal.
Here.
Mr. Reese.
Here.
Mr. O'Connell.
Here.
Chairman Thomas.
Here, we have a resolution for, that's on your desk for Curry Funeral Home. If you can summarize it and convince us everything is as we discussed, then maybe we could just pass it, otherwise
Yeah,
we
it's
wait till the end of the meeting and
the last meeting you heard the use variance, the D1 use variance and site plan waiver for Mr. Lanford's building for the funeral home. Obviously, they're in a hurry to move in and get past the appeals process, so it's been prepared tonight. Pat, of course, has looked it over. Mark and I have both made our edits to it, and we're completely satisfied. It completely accurately reflects your decision at last month's meeting.
as I recall, this didn't have any real issues of concern, so if anybody wants to offer a motion and second it.
I'll move it.
Second.
Mr. Rich?
Yes.
Mr. Caldwell?
Yes.
Mr. Rosenthal?
Yes.
Chairman Thomas?
Yes. Then we have the discussion section. We have a voucher for February retainer for Mr. Bradshaw, $865. We need a motion.
I move. Second.
Go ahead.
Let's see. Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Rich?
Yes.
Mr. Caldwell?
Yes.
Mr. Rosenthal?
Yes.
Mr. Reese?
Yes.
Mr. O'Connell?
Yes.
Chairman Thomas?
Yes. First hearing on the agenda, New Jersey Buddhist Vihara, docket ZBA 12-00020. Applicant seeks a D3 conditional use variance and site plan for a new three-story worship building at 4299 Route 27, Princeton, Block 5.02, lots 77 and 78 in the RR5 zone. That's been carried to March 21st, 2013. Do we have to announce that that's in Princeton? Does that confuse people listening? It's in Franklin, that's why we're hearing it.
Yes.
And the reason I ask that again is I saw an ad for Bunker Hill Golf Course that not only advertises that it's in Princeton, but in Mercer County, in the newspaper.
It's actually right on the border, the two towns.
It's really not.
No, it's not. I think it's a Princeton mailing address, so
Yeah.
they take advantage of that, I guess.
Anyway,
They're from Pennsylvania, so they don't know the difference.
the first hearing will be Dial Enterprises. That one, by the way, is carried to March 21st with notification needed. All right, Dial Enterprises, docket ZBA 08-00053. Applicant is looking to amend the previously approved site plan and sign variance. The change would be to construct a smaller building and repositioning the building at 1400 Hamilton Street, Somerset, block 89.03, lot 3.01 in the M2 zone. This was carried from January 17th. And this is another one of those where it's not if this will be approved as a project, we are hearing amendments to an approved project. Okay?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Peter Lanford appearing on behalf of the applicant, and the chairman, as usual, is 100% correct. This matter was before the board on April 2nd, 2009, at which time the board granted the use variance for this facility, along with a site plan for this facility. Thereafter, we actually came back to the board in 2010 because that exhibit that's up on the board to my left is now being marked for the third time. And in 2010, we came back to obtain the sign approvals, which the board granted. This project was approved right about the time of the economic downturn. My client has spent the last 3 years trying to obtain financing for the originally approved project, which was a fairly large building, significantly larger than we are proposing this evening. Was unsuccessful in doing so. However, after having discussions with various lenders, felt that he can and will be able to obtain financing if the building was in fact reduced in size. So that's what we're here for tonight. I'm going to call Mr. Ford, who was the site engineer in the original application and who prepared the amended application, to briefly review with the board the changes in the site from the original application to the present application. And then I will briefly call the architect to explain the differences between the old building and the new building. Mr. Ford, can you be sworn, please?
Solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth? I do. Okay. Testifying as an engineer and a planner?
I'm good.
Yes?
Yes, he's
Yes.
both a licensed
Yes.
engineer and as a planner. Mr. Ford, you were the original engineer of record on this application,
That's correct.
and I have taken the liberty to mark the two exhibits that are to your left, the board's right, the upper exhibit being the one that was the previously approved site plan. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And the lower one, which is actually in black and white, is the revision to the site plan that we are seeking approval for today.
Correct.
Okay. Can you briefly outline the changes to the board of the plan that is before it this evening?
Okay. The changes are subtle. The building has been reduced in size. It remains in its same location, but it's gone from a building of over 50,000 square feet on the top rendering, the previously approved plan, to a building of just over 31,000 square feet on the amended site plan. The parking is in the same location. However, the parking's been proportionally reduced with the size of the building from 275 spaces to 238 spaces. And the aspects of the plan that haven't changed, and certainly coincidental with the reduction in the parking spaces and the building size, the overall site impervious coverage has gone from 62% on the approved plan down to 58% on the proposed plan. While at the same time, the stormwater management facilities along Hamilton Street have remained unchanged. So the detention basin is in the same location, same size, able to accommodate the entire site at full build-out up to the limit of the ordinance, which is 65% coverage. So we're conservative and over-designed with the stormwater. That hasn't changed from the previously approved plan to the proposed plan. Nor has the driveway at Hamilton Street. There has been a subtle change in the location of the driveway. I'm sorry, the driveway at Churchill. There was an in and out. Now there's just a one single driveway right opposite the existing office park driveway on Churchill. And all those changes have been reviewed with your staff.
All right, Mr. Ford, when we came back the second time, we also received approvals for signage. Is that correct?
Correct.
And there was a sign on both Hamilton Street and also on Churchill.
Correct.
The sign on Hamilton Street did not change. It
Correct.
remains the same.
Right.
Because of the relocation of the driveway, did the sign on Churchill change as to location?
Yes.
Okay. It is the same sign that was previously approved,
Same size, same setback from the right-of-way, just a slightly different location along the frontage.
and because it is been relocated, Mr. Dominic had indicated that we technically need a variance for that sign because it is, although it's the same size and everything, it's a different location.
Correct.
And that is the variance that we are seeking tonight for the sign.
That's correct.
Okay. Now, the building that was originally approved as you enter the site is to the, from Churchill, which is the main entrance to this facility.
Correct.
Is basically to the right side of the drive entrance, is that correct?
That's correct.
And with the revision, it's actually moved, the building has moved slightly?
The buildings move slightly to the east, and the driveway circles around the right side of the building, or to the west of the building.
We've in fact flipped the driveway to the other side of the building,
Right.
and therefore the ability of a visitor, the driveway going from Churchill all the way out to Hamilton Street is almost a straight shot, is it not?
Yeah, more direct route.
Okay, and that actually...
That was appealing to emergency services as well.
Okay. Obviously, the original plan that the board approved had a fairly significant landscape plan, is that correct?
Correct.
And with the new project or the new relocated building, are we basically keeping the same landscape plan that was originally approved?
It's essentially the same, yes.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions.
Is the smaller building is going to be completely redesigned?
I will have the architect describe the difference between the two buildings.
And then you still would have available parking potential should down the road they decide to try and expand, to want to expand it again? I mean, theoretically, it could go up to its original size without a real issue. You'd have to come in for a hearing.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Yeah. I don't know if the building is that expandable, but yet, we can always try to do something if we needed
I
to.
worry about something that's
Yeah.
hasn't happened yet in the first.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, I forgot to ask Mr. Ford two quick questions. You reviewed the staff report that was generated by Mr. Healy,
January 3rd,
and,
2013.
right, and basically, he wanted us to revise the lighting plan, some minor changes to it. We can comply with everything in his report.
Correct.
And also the report of Mr. Houck dated January 4th. There were only, I think, 12, 13, 14 items, and we can comply with all of those.
That's correct.
Okay, other board questions? All right, we'll do this like the planning board tonight, since there's a limited public. Just continue you with your witnesses, and then we'll decide if we have any questions or anything.
Mr. Mehta. You didn't bring the old architecturals, did you?
I have this.
I'll mark those.
Sir, if you'll raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth? Okay, you're going to need to use the microphone.
Beg your pardon?
The microphone.
Oh, yeah, almost, okay.
Okay, just tell us who you are and spell your last name for the record.
Yes, my last name is Mehta, Mehta. First name is Dharam, Dharam. I'm a licensed architect in the state of New Jersey since '74. And my office is in Rockaway.
Could you hold the mic up?
Oh, okay. My office is in Rockaway, New Jersey. It's 248 West Main Street. And I've been in my own business for 30 years, I guess.
I would offer the testimony of Mr. Mehta as an architect. Mr. Mehta, you were, again, the original architect for the plan that was approved by the board in 2009.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I have marked as A3 on the board to my left the previously approved site plan. Can you, or elevation plan. Can you briefly indicate to the board how the building functioned in 2009 as it was proposed?
Okay. What we had in 2009 was we had 2 banquet halls. First floor had the main banquet hall, which was like about 500 seats. It had its own kitchen, bathrooms, all the facilities. And then second floor had smaller banquet hall, which was about 300 seats. And that had its own kitchen, bathrooms, and everything else, and a couple of elevators. So what has happened is we have gone from, and the building was more than 50,000 square feet. In addition to that, I think there was about 5,000 square feet of attic space. So what we have done is we have downsized the building from 2-story to 1-story now. And
Mr. Mehta, that's A4, which is right behind A3.
Okay.
And if you can just indicate to the board how the building is now.
Yeah. So what has happened is we have 1-story building now. Both banquet halls, kitchen, they have common kitchen and common bathrooms. So it's the total occupancy has gone from 800 to 700 now. The large banquet hall, which is on the right-hand side, that has 450 occupancy. It has its own cocktail lounge. This is your voting share. That's your main entrance and lobby. And then on left side, again, there is another cocktail lounge, which is connected with a smaller banquet hall, which is about 250 seats. There are some elevations. Roof heights are slightly different from different areas. Basically, it's all flat area, flat roof. The only area which we have a little mansard look is in the front as we enter, and the main entrance lobby, which has the grand stairs going up to the actually mezzanine, which is bridal suites and some offices for the facility. There is no public any events on the mezzanine floor. It's just partial mezzanine over the bathrooms and kitchen. The architecture of the building, I have tried to maintain same what was last time. We have mission tiles and first one a color, stucco color. The roof will be all single ply kind of light color, so it doesn't absorb too much heat. The entire facility is accessible to ADA requirements. As far as other things are concerned, energy code and all that, I'm going to have like 8-inch walls all around the building, which gives you a lot more insulation. The roof insulation is a lot more, so it will be very energy efficient building. So basically, that's what we have this time.
Okay, one last question. Some of the mechanicals to service this building will be on the roof, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And they will be screened so they're not visible from the public roadways, is that correct?
My understanding last time was that if any HVAC equipment is visible from the street, we will provide the screening.
And
I believe the plans had the cross sections.
Yes, I have actually one sheet. Let me put this thing down for a second. Where's my other drawings?
I don't know if you need to present them. I think the plans reflect that you had some cross sections showing where the mechanicals would be and showing that the mansard would block view of the mechanicals.
Yes, sir, you're right.
So that's part of the record.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I have no further questions of this witness.
Anything from the board? Other witnesses?
No other witnesses, Mr. Chairman.
We'll open to the public. Is there anyone who'd like to ask a question or make a statement? And then we will close. Anything you want to say?
Just very briefly, Mr. Chairman, again, in 2009, you approved the use variance and the site plan. Obviously, the rationale for the use variance has not changed since 2009, and the building that we are proposing is significantly smaller. However, since it is a use variance, I think the board can see that the building that is being proposed met the spirit and intent of the 2009 approval. This is not a significant departure, and other than the building being smaller, everything you're getting everything else that you asked for in 2009. Thank you.
All right, any discussion?
Do they have the financing, Pete, yet?
Excuse me?
Do they have the financing yet?
The last time I spoke to him, he has been talking with some lenders, and he has told me it was financeable. I don't know, unless Mr. Mehta, who sees it more than I do.
Before you left, he said it's very, very positive there are about financing this time.
Yes. So, and obviously, until we get it approved, I'm sure a lender's not going to issue a commitment, but he has been talking to lenders, and hopefully it'll be in place.
Any other discussion or motion?
I would like to present this motion.
Go ahead.
I move to accept the revise of ZBA -08-0053. They tell Enterprises the revised scaled down version of their application from the previous approval.
Second?
Any discussion? All aboard.
Mr. Johnson?
Four.
Mr. Rich?
Four.
Mr. Caldwell?
Yes.
Mr. Rosenthal?
Yes.
Mr. Reese?
Yes.
Mr. O'Connell?
Yes.
Chairman Thomas?
Yes, and good luck with this one. I look forward to seeing it built.
Thank you.
Chen Jun and Wu Zhen, docket ZBA 13-00001, applicant requesting to use existing barn to store audio equipment at 4185 Route 27, Princeton, in the RR3 zone, carried from January 17th, 2013, with no further notification.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Peter Lanford appearing on behalf of the applicant. I need to spend a couple minutes to go through the history of this so that I think the board can better understand the application. This is an existing piece of property in the RR3 zone on Route 27, south of the marketplace. The property consists of, as you see on the plans that were submitted to you, a single-family dwelling, and in the back is a large barn or large building. In 1995, I believe it was, 1995, an application was made before this board under docket Z94016UP, name of Andrew Zitve, who came before this board to seek a use variance to build that structure in the back of the property for use in his fence business. He installed fences in and around the Central Jersey area. He came in for an approval. That approval involved constructing the new building where he would store the fence material. He would assemble a lot of the fence material either in the building, a little bit of it outside the building, and then would obviously install fences wherever he had contracts to install fences. He constructed the building. As part of the approval, there was a significant amount of gravel on this property. There is no macadam on the property. It's all gravel. And as the original plan that was submitted to you, the survey shows there is still a significant amount of gravel on the property. When the project was approved in 1995, there was about 30%, give or take, of impervious coverage, which consisted of building proposed barn or warehouse facility, whatever you may want to call it, and gravel. The plan that was submitted in 1995 proposed to reduce the gravel from 30-some% to 27%. And the zoning board in that instance had asked and suggested that the impervious be reduced down to 20%. And that was the resolution in 1995. Mr. Zitve built the building, started building fences, and started operating his business. And in 2012, decided that it was time to get out of the fence business. I don't know why after Hurricane Sandy, because I think he'd probably be very busy around this time. But anyway, he had to put the property up for sale. Mr. Chen, who is the applicant this evening, entered into a contract to purchase the property, and he'll explain what his business is and how it is going to be different, and that's why we are here for use variance. But the other issue, and I'll have Mr. Ford go into it in a little bit more detail, was that when we surveyed the property, when Mr. Chen signed the contract, we found that the 27% of impervious coverage, which was proposed, that was supposed to be reduced to 20%, was at approximately 58% of impervious coverage. So, and that was one of the reasons why this matter was delayed a couple weeks ago, because we were trying to figure out how we can get the impervious coverage down to as close to the 20% requirement, and I'll go into testimony as to that. In the RR3 zone, as in many zones, a home occupation is a permitted use. This is not a home occupation. The way this business is being operated, I looked at it, we tried to see if it would qualify as a home occupation. It doesn't. The use that Mr. Zitfei got approved is basically a commercial or retail operation, even though there is no retail sales on the property. Our use is somewhat similar, and it was our hope that Mr. Dominack thought it was sufficiently similar that we didn't have to come and see you, and that we can basically get him to certify that this is a change of use and consistent with the previously granted use. Mr. Dominack said, well, it's close, but it ain't close enough. So we are here this evening for a D1 use variance. It still will be an owner-occupied property as it was with Mr. Zitfei from back in 1995, and I will have my client testify this evening as to how his operation will occur on the subject property, and you'll be able to see some of the similarities and or differences from the previously approved application. I will also have Mr. Ford present a couple of exhibits to show the impervious coverage and what we did to deal with the impervious coverage as a result of meetings we've had with the township staff and trying to get this property to be able to function as a semi-commercial, semi-residential property, and also get as close to the impervious coverage as possible. And lastly, I will call Mr. Coling as our planner to testify as to the use variance. So that's the history. I will call as my first witness Mr. Chen.
Okay.
So raise your right hand for me, solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
And you are Mr. Chen?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chen, you can be seated.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Chen, are you the owner of a business called Sonpex?
Yes.
Okay. And what does Sonpex do?
Okay. Basically, we are the distributor, wholesaler for the mobile, like car, we call mobile electronic product, like car audio, car speakers, speaker box, and the head units, and other accessory stuff, FM transmitter, Bluetooth, those kind of products. We import from China, then distribute in USA.
Okay. And Sonpex is a corporation that was formed in what state?
Yes, that's in New Jersey.
In New Jersey.
Right.
How many principals are in the company? How many owners?
Two.
And who are the owners?
One and my wife.
You and your wife?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a company that's owned by you and your wife.
Right.
Do you currently have warehouses or distribution facilities in New Jersey and in the United States?
Yes. We currently located at Route 130, South Brunswick, Monmouth Junction, the 2031 Route 130.
Okay.
We rent.
You rent there?
Yeah.
And how long have you operated out of that facility?
We rent, it's 8 years.
Okay.
By next month will be 8 years.
Okay. And how big is that facility?
It's about 5,500 square feet.
So approximately the same size as the building that, the barn that you are
Looking to buy.
looking to occupy,
Right.
correct?
Yes.
Do you also have another facility in the United States?
We have the facility in West Coast, nearby LA.
Okay.
It's called Chino, California, but that also rent,
Okay, and that's just a distribution facility
Yes.
in California?
right?
Okay. Who does your company service?
You mean our customer?
Yes.
Okay, our customer is a major like retail store, like AutoZone, Pep Boys, Sears, and Kmart. That's our big customer.
Okay, and when those companies such as AutoZone, Sears, and Kmart purchase equipment from you, does that come to your warehouse here in New Jersey or to your warehouse in California, or is that direct shipped?
Okay, those big company, we have, it's called DI program, which is direct import program. We deliver product to China, their warehouse nearby the port. They never came to our warehouse, directly the import from China.
So you have contracts with them, the materials for the major corporations never hit your warehouse in New Jersey, never hits your warehouse in California, they're direct shipped
Right.
to Sears, Pep Boy, or wherever?
AutoZone.
AutoZone?
Yes.
Okay. The facility here in New Jersey, you carry this type of equipment. And who is that shipped to?
Okay, this product usually is for like local small store or small distributor. It's a local customer, a small customer. And the other things is we need to do like customer service support for those big chain store customer. For instance, someone bought a speaker box from Pep Boys, then they said, okay, that doesn't work, or it's broken during the warranty period, then we need ship to them to replace it.
Okay, and that's the shipping that goes out of your South Brunswick facility that you're looking to move to this
Yeah.
facility?
Yeah, depends. West Coast from West Coast warehouse, East Coast, then from South Brunswick.
Okay. Now, what are your hours of operation at your current facility?
From 9 to 5:30.
5 days a week, 6
Monday
days
to
a week?
Friday,
Monday through Fridays.
right?
And if the board were to grant the variance and allowed you to move your operation to the new, to the Route 27 property, those would be your same hours of operation?
Yes.
So there would be no Saturdays nor no Sundays?
No.
Now, describe your operation as far as the receiving of materials. How do you get your supplies or your amplifiers and your speakers? How do they get to your site?
Okay. We just have like container moving, like import from China, 2 or 3 container per year. That's for our product. Those products, just as I said, first of all, supply to local small customer. Secondly, is support to customer. I mean, our customer's customer, the user and the user.
Okay.
So only 2 or 3 container will be hit to South Brunswick.
And how do those shipments get to the property? Are they delivered by
By-
box truck or tractor trailer truck?
Sometimes 20 feet container, sometimes 40 feet container. That's trailer.
Okay. And the biggest container is a 40-foot container?
Yes.
And when a container comes to your site, is it all of your product, or sometimes is it a mixed product that they just drop and then leave?
And sometimes it's all of us, but sometimes just mixed with others.
Okay. And how many deliveries of equipment or product do you get during the course of a month or a year, or however you want to?
Delivery, I would say, like 2 or 3 times per month. That's mostly delivered.
Okay. And
And pick up, we deliver to them. We deliver out. I can deliver in is 2 or 3 times, and we deliver out. Basically, we're using like FedEx, UPS
Okay.
service.
all right, I just want to, let's, so concentrating on coming in.
Okay.
The deliveries to your site will come by either a 20-foot container or a 40-foot container 2 to 3 times a month. And that's how you get all your stuff.
Right,
Okay. Now you have your stuff in the warehouse.
right.
Okay, and basically the way the building is currently set up and was used by the previous owner who got the approval, part of it is warehousing and part of it was an area that was used for fabrication of fences, is that correct?
Yes,
The area that was previously used for warehousing is still going to be used for warehousing by you if the board were to grant the approval.
yes,
And the area where he was going to do he was doing fence fabrication, would you be using that area for something?
you mean in the barn?
In the barn, yeah. You have
Yes.
the warehouse and you have another part.
Yes.
And what would take place in that part?
We probably, for like set up like test room, because some product we need to do some testing, or customers return to us, we need to do testing, so we know what's wrong with the product.
So you'll do that in the area where he was actually working on fences, you would be testing your equipment.
Right.
You do not do any retail sales to the public out of your South Brunswick facility, is that correct?
No.
And you do not intend to do any retail sales out of this facility?
No.
Okay. Is there any activity that would be conducted outside the barn other than the loading of vehicles or unloading of vehicles? You don't do anything outside? is that-
Outside only, I think, load, unload.
Loading and unloading. Everything else will be contained within the confines of the building?
Yes.
Okay. How many employees do you currently have at your South Brunswick facility?
4,
Okay. Does that include you?
actually, yeah, including me, and the 4.5. The 4 is not including me. And I should say 3 full-time, 1 part-time, and plus me.
And you?
Right.
And your wife is an owner, but she doesn't work there?
No.
She just gets the money?
She worked for Bristol Myers Squibb.
Okay. Okay.
That sounds normal.
Okay. Now, what do the employees do?
Okay, we have one is accounting, bookkeeping, and the second one is for technical support, customer service, and the third one is for the people who are receiving, shipping. The half one is like a warehouse.
Okay. And so in your present facility in South Brunswick, you do have an office, and basically your employees do paperwork and
Phone call,
phone calls and processing.
right?
And your half employee works in the warehouse.
Yeah.
Now, the same operation would take place at this facility? You'd have the same number of employees? You're not looking to increase your number of employees? Everything will be the same?
Well, will be the same.
Okay, now, we got all this stuff into the warehouse.
Yes.
Now, how do we get it out of the warehouse? If people, a small supplier or distributor needs some of your equipment, how does it get delivered to them?
Yeah, we deliver by FedEx, UPS, and sometimes we deliver using our van.
So you have
Small
one,
van.
you have a small van.
It's not commercial van, even just like a regular minivan.
Okay. And how often do you have either UPS or FedEx pickups at your facility?
FedEx, we have like a service which is pay the money. No matter we have something or don't have something, they always come, just check. If nothing to pick up, then just leave.
Okay, so once a day FedEx
day.
shows up?
Yeah.
And you either give them something or they go bye-bye?
Yeah, it's about 3 p.m. for my current location.
Okay.
I'm not sure for that new location.
And UPS is basically the same thing, or are they?
UPS, no. UPS, if we have something, then we just call them. I mean, it's not called like set through the online. Once we create a shipping label, they know, then they come over pick up.
Okay. Now, we talked about the business end of it, and I talked about Mr. and Mrs. Zitve, who got the original approval in 1995. There's a house on the property.
Yes.
Okay, and you've been to the property on more than one occasion. You've visited it. You've been in the house, and you've looked at the
Yes.
house also. The Zitves live in the house and have lived in it since 1995. Is that correct?
That's based on what they told me.
Yeah, and you intend to reside there with your wife should the board grant the variance and would live in the house?
Yes.
And the house is how many stories?
2.
Okay. And the upper level of the house, what's in the upper level of the house?
Master bedroom, living room, deck.
Okay.
Basically, yeah.
And that's where the main family functions go on. And in the lower level, what took place with Mr. Zitvay's business?
Yes, some room is like office currently, and I remember still like one room is bathroom, bedroom.
Okay.
And there are 2 bathrooms downstairs.
Okay, and then he had offices for his business down
Yes.
there. And you would continue the same, you would have your employees in the lower level of the house, they would use that as their offices?
Yeah, basically upper level will stay, and the lower level maybe keep 1 room or 2 room as bedroom, and the rest of as like office area.
Okay. Thank you, I have no further questions.
Board questions?
When the containers are brought in, when do they leave or how do they leave?
Container, after we unload the product,
Yes.
then they leave. When they leave, usually for the full container, they give us like 2 hours unloading time. But for the partial container, it really depends. Sometimes just 10 minutes, sometimes half hour.
I think that might be a good question for the engineer to explain how the trucks are going to maneuver through the site.
And I guess Mr. Caldwell's concern is, are there going to be containers laying around outside or kept there overnight or anything like that? None of your
No,
containers stay there overnight or?
Yeah, even overnight, we got to pay money. Over 2 hours, $75 per hour. We got to pay that. So we must unload within 2 hours.
Are you going to have any walk-in customers?
No.
No?
Yeah, no walking customer. Because it's not retail business. Plus, our major customer is like a big giant retail store. We always go their place. They never came to our place.
And you have 3 employees that come daily?
Every day.
And yeah, where would they be parking?
I'll have Mr. Ford explain.
Engineer? Oh,
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Yes.
You have sales,
Yeah, we have the
Staff.
outside sales. We have outside sales rep. They just came maybe like once per month, sometime even like 3-4 months. They come to our office here. So
They're like reps that go out,
yes,
and then they get the orders, or
they get the order sent to us, then we just prepare.
Yeah.
For if we need to ship out from China, then we just ship out from China. If we need to ship out from here, then we ship out from South Brunswick. If we need like West Coast, we ship out from West Coast.
I have a question. Do you intend to have any kind of factory outlet store on site?
No factory, no manufacturing facility. Only have some very small testing equipment.
No store there, right?
No store.
Other questions?
On the out,
just on the sales force, do they operate out of your site? Like,
Out
do
of
they
our
come
site.
for their paychecks?
They come to paycheck, even not paycheck, we can send by mail or direct deposit to their bank. Just came for like sales meeting.
Sales meetings?
Yes.
So you will have sales meetings, yeah?
Yeah, but it's probably 1 or twice
Yeah.
per year. But
And
some, yeah,
do they cover the whole East Coast, or and what's their territories?
we have outside sales about like 10 salespeople.
10 sales?
Yeah, but so far we never like, get them all together. They just came like 1 or 2, then we get together.
So California is separate?
California still come over here.
They do come over?
Yeah, over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they operate out of their houses most of the time?
Yes.
And set up their own schedules?
Yes.
Got it, okay.
on the property, there are, I would assume, still fence material around. Is that going to be removed when you move into the property?
Yes, that's the promise to remove that.
All right, good, all right.
Any others?
A few more. Just to clarify, you're gonna live in the house?
Yes,
That's gonna be your main residence?
yes.
Do you live somewhere out of town now?
Now it's in South Brunswick.
So you're gonna move from that house into this
Yes.
house?
Yes.
Okay. And then you had mentioned that most of the deliveries are going to come through FedEx and UPS, although you're going to have a van. Is that the only vehicle that you have associated with the business?
Yeah, associated with business only that van.
Just the one van?
Obviously, I have the sedan.
And that'd be parked outside, probably next to the barn?
My personal car, I will park in my garage.
Yeah.
But the van.
But the van, I mean, the previous use had forklifts and some other, but it sounds like you're only going to have the one van
Yeah,
to be parked outside.
we will have a forklift to move the equipment in the warehouse. There still
Okay.
will be one forklift.
Okay, because I think the prior approval, the trucks were to be stored inside the building. Is that still true?
I don't have a truck.
What about the forklift?
Forklift will be inside the building.
Inside the building?
Yeah.
Okay. Obviously, the other business was more seasonal. This is going to be, obviously, this is not seasonal. This is the full year.
Yes.
Just from the prior application, no chemicals or flammable materials? I mean, this is
No.
stereo and
Yeah.
car equipment.
There's a
so-
wood and the carpet.
Yeah.
And the plastic and metal, aluminum metal.
Okay.
That's the material.
And no sign?
If township allow me put a sign outside, I would like to have the sign. At least
Okay.
the people deliver stuff or they can fund it.
I think there is a sign already there, Mr. Healy, and I think we can just use the same sign that's already there.
Well, the condition of the previous approval was that no sign.
Okay.
And the condition was no sales may occur on site, no customers may come to the property, and no sign may be erected on the property. So, and I think that kind of speaks to a lot of the questions that are coming from the board are customers going to come to the
No.
site? Is there going to be retail? So.
Yeah,
it's,
it is clearly not a retail operation. It's not intended to be. We don't have customers that come. I guess the only reason he would like to have a sign is for identification for deliveries. And it may be just something on the mailbox if the board doesn't want anything else. I mean, we're not there to attract business or to advertise business. The sign would only be necessary for identification.
I mean, maybe, first, the thing that pops into my head is I know in a home occupation, you can have a sign about 2 square feet. Maybe that might be something just so you can,
2 square feet. Okay, 2 square feet long,
that'd be,
2 feet high.
2 feet high. Yeah, if it's okay, if the township allow me to make it a little bigger, then I appreciate it.
well, that would be my recommendation.
Well, is there an existing sign there?
Yes.
I mean,
Like,
if it's there, it's not
not
approved.
Right, but I'm wondering how big that existing sign and where it is.
I believe it's bigger than 2 feet. From the lens point of view, bigger than 2 feet.
And looking at the photo, I don't see it on here.
I know there's a sign there, but I couldn't tell you what size it is. I don't know if if Mr. Ford knows, we'll find out.
Yeah, if 2 feet is like this, right? I think their sign may be like that. 3 or 4.
And then, well, I guess Michael, speak to the different comments from township staff.
Yeah, we'll deal with that through the engineering
I
testimony.
would think, Pete, when you sum up, maybe you ask for a certain size sign to be put at a location that, whatever you want, and the board can discuss it when they're deliberating. Probably since, maybe you can figure out where Mike thinks it would be best, and you can talk to the board about that, the size, so.
That's great.
And this is a single-use application. I mean, there's no intention, if there's extra space in the barn, to rent it out for something or parking.
The use variance is the use variance that we're seeking, which is basically to warehouse. And again, to some degree, it's similar to the other previous use in that they warehoused fence material. Here we're warehousing audio equipment, but
Right.
it would be only for our use.
And since I guess we've established the vehicles or equipment should be indoors, so there's not going to be anything outdoors overnight, except maybe a private car or whatever.
Right.
Okay.
The other business had actually some fence materials, and actually, if you looked at the old resolution, I think Mr. Healy pointed out some of the things in his report. They were allowed to do some outside work, minimal outside work, but there was some outside work and fence construction as part of the old approval. So to that extent, none of that will take place, nothing will take place outside.
Well, I also do remember, just like in the picture, there are windows or whatever it is lying up against the fence. That's not your client's, but the property probably was used a little differently than what it was intended to. I'm assuming he's not stacking these things up outside against the fence.
No, we do not own the property yet. We are contract purchasers. Anything that you see in the aerial photographs or anything that was done to the property since 1995 was done by the present owner. So if there are some sins, and Mr. Ford will talk to the sins, they are not his sins.
I know also there's a decent sized sign somewhere there, because I've seen it. I can't tell you now when I need to where it is or how big it is, but
Like on the side?
it's noticeable, and it's been there for a long time. So I don't think if this is approved, that some sort of sign certainly would be reasonable, and to have people pass it, trying to make a delivery, and then find some place to make a U-turn. It's not easy. Anything else for many?
Just one more question, just to clarify the number of deliveries. So you had mentioned the FedEx truck, that's picks up and takes away? So it's basically one FedEx truck a day?
Yeah, sometimes they deliver something to us, then they pick up something to us, the same one trip.
Okay. And then UPS is basically on call?
UPS is on call,
Yeah.
and or they have something delivered to us, then they just deliver.
Yeah. So on the busiest day possible, you're talking how many box trucks coming in and out?
Two. That's two maximum.
Two, and maybe if there's some emergency, maybe,
I think mostly it's two.
yeah, okay.
Two or
So I'm just going to give the board order of magnitude. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, take next witness.
Mr. Ford.
Got a microphone? There you go. Raise your right hand.
Hello.
You did that to me. Solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do. Michael Ford, F-O-R-D.
Know
License.
you're licensed in New Jersey.
Yes.
So we'll be
You don't wanna hear.
Or save a little time. I think
Okay.
we've seen you a few times.
Yes. Thank you. Peter's marking two exhibits. One is the first exhibit on top there, you'll see is the existing conditions, basically the survey that was submitted as part of the application.
I guess
And it's highlighted in gray
I guess
as the
Mr. Ford
impervious.
doesn't need me, so I'll just let him.
I wouldn't be too quick to admit that.
Okay.
And the second exhibit is the proposed condition. What you see between the two is the highlighted area and the differential between the existing impervious in gray on the lower existing condition.
Okay. Mr. Ford, go back to A1 very briefly. And I know it's in the board's packet, but for the record, you have the existing dwelling, which is located toward the front of the subject property, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And then the barn, warehouse, whatever we may want to call it, is to the rear of the property.
Correct.
And the gray area is all of the impervious coverage that is on the property at the present time.
The gravel area,
And it is predominantly all gravel, correct? There's no blacktop on the property at all?
there's a small portion of gravel or paved area right as you enter the site, but once you come up next to the existing dwelling, turns to gravel. And there's an existing shed in the right-hand corner of the property.
Okay, and with respect to the shed, that was supposed to have been removed 18 years ago. It was never removed. That was part of the old resolution of approval. As part of this application, we are going to be removing that shed. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. In doing your calculations for building coverage in the zone is basically allowed at 10%. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And we are, after the shed is removed, a hair over 10%. Is that in fact correct?
That's correct.
And we are not proposing to add any building coverage.
No, we're not.
Okay. Now we go to A2, and A2 is the proposed impervious coverage that we are proposing. Is that correct?
Yes.
And in conjunction with this application, we had, after we discovered the impervious coverage issue, when the surveyor did the survey, you were called in and looked at the property and tried to figure out a way that impervious coverage could be reduced.
Correct.
And
Correct.
also, we met with township staff regarding this, did we not?
Yes.
And obviously, there's two things that we tried to keep in mind. One is the desire to minimize impervious coverage, as was evidenced by the prior resolution, and I'm sure would be the intent of this board this evening. But also, we had to consider the effective maneuvering of vehicles on the property, not only our delivery vehicles, but also emergency vehicles that may come to the subject property. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, as a result of the discussions that we had with the township staff, as a result of discussions that we had with the prospective owner concerning his operation, can you indicate to the board what we are proposing regarding, what we in fact proposed regarding the impervious coverage or the driveway?
Essentially, it's a straight shot driveway to a K-turn by the 5,000 square foot barn, if you will, that's used for this.
Okay, and when you designed it, did you use the normal templates to make sure that the delivery vehicles that come to his site can effectively turn around and exit the property
Yes.
properly?
Yes.
So this was designed to handle the vehicles that come to the property?
Right.
The chairman had indicated the question, did we provide any parking for employee vehicles or for the UPS or FedEx vehicle that may come to the house on occasion?
Yes, the existing house at the front of the property has an existing three-car garage, and we're providing parking in the portion of the impervious area to remain for an additional 6 spaces, 3 on the left side of the driveway and 3 on the right side of the driveway that would be in front of the garage doors.
Okay. Now, when we tried to get the impervious down as low as possible, what did we wind up with in impervious coverage?
We were right at about 26, 27%.
Okay.
26%.
And when we submitted the plan to the township staff and said, this is the best that we can do, we tried to get it to the bare basics. That plan was reviewed by Mr. Healy, Mr. Hauk, Mr. Dominic, and I also think Mr. House, correct?
That's my understanding, correct.
And did they come back with any recommendations?
Yeah, there was 2 recommendations. One was to widen the driveway slightly in this one location here from 12 to 15 feet. And then across the rear of the existing building to extend the shaded area the entire length of the rear of the building to provide for greater emergency vehicle access.
And if the board were to grant the variance, and if the board were to want to allow the additional impervious coverage as requested by the township staff, where do we go from the 27%?
It adds about 3% to 29.
Okay. And now, do you, and obviously you've been to the site on at least one occasion, not more than one occasion?
Yes, I've been to the site.
Okay. Do you have any specific recollection as to where the sign is and how big it is?
I don't recall seeing a sign. I don't recall.
Okay.
I was focused really on the existing conditions within the site itself.
Okay,
So-
and also, just for the record, going to the property, can you indicate to the board, since obviously this is in an RR3 zone, did you look at the vicinity of the subject property as far as what uses are taking place just in the immediate vicinity of this property?
Immediately to the south and to the west, it's just a wooded area, and then to the north along 27, it seems there are other similar, I guess, residential-looking older structures. And on the other side of Route 27 in South Brunswick, there's a mixture of uses. Directly across the street is an auto parts or auto repair place.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Ford.
Look at the staff.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah.
Remember, there's only
I
one
know.
staff report. We did it as a tier.
Yeah, it was a team report, and there were a couple recommendations in the report concerning any, let me get to it. Item 3 are really the changes to, or comments to the plan, which is to have the well and septic system shown and to be approved, a zoning compliance table employing parking area delineated, CAD format, and all of those minor changes to the plan you would, in fact, make if the board were to grant the approval.
Correct.
Okay, and those are, again, not substantive changes to the plan, they're just notes, and other than testing of the septic system, nothing else needs to be done.
Yes. Which one are you looking at, Peter?
January 29 is the date.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are, yeah, 4 comments, A, B, C, and D, and we can take care of those.
Right.
Also, briefly touch on item B, just since we are exceeding impervious coverage, if there is a concern about any runoff or drainage issues, how, item B does deal with that, does it not?
That's correct.
And how is it dealt with in item B?
The recommendation from the staff is to provide dry wells to collect the stormwater runoff from the building at the rear of the property and address, mitigate for stormwater runoff to a degree in that fashion, as well as just the simple fact that we're going from 60% impervious coverage down to the under 30% with the removal of all the gravel area and converting that to lawn.
Okay, and that can be accomplished? the
That can
driveway-
be accomplished as suggested in item B in Mr. Healy's report on page 6.
Okay. And the other comments we can take care of.
Correct.
Thank you.
How'd you know I wrote this?
What?
From the TRC.
It's the whole...
Oh, is it from, oh, you're, yes, okay.
You recognize my style, I guess. Just, Mike, one question, just to clarify. I'm assuming, well, when I look at this, in terms of the building coverage, by removing that shed, to the extent that you're at 10.10, a little bit over, that's just existing structures to remain. That's the existing house and the existing barn, and that's...
Correct.
That's it. And then, as far as the impervious coverage at 29%, the way that I look at this, it looks like, is that the minimum, it's basically the minimum necessary to serve your client's needs in terms of maneuverability through the site and parking, and the minimum necessary to achieve necessary emergency access?
Right, that additional portion that was suggested by the TRC, correct.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions?
Just, if you had a real downpour, would water get into that warehouse area?
Well, one of the suggestions in item D was for us to add spot elevations to the plan as well as the dry wells to show and demonstrate that water is directed in a safe fashion. So that's one of the staff. Right now, the survey doesn't show any topo or elevations. They've asked us to add that to the site, the use variance plan. We'll do that. And At my site visit, I didn't, it was, it looks like it's draining properly away from the existing building. I didn't see any evidence of real drainage issues.
Right. And are these going to sit on pallets, or are they going to be on pallets? So it is up a little bit, so if water did come, do you know if it has a history of any water getting in there?
And when we were going through this, Mr. McCracken, who, I don't know if you should be sitting in front of Mr. Shepherd's.
Oh, sorry,
Because
yeah.
people will confuse you. In speaking with the owner, that has never been a problem. You wouldn't want to be accused of being Mr. Shepherd, would you?
Well, interchangeable. We're both characters.
Okay. But no, I don't think that has been a problem in the past. Again, when we reviewed everything, that the issue of flooding or anything
Yeah.
is a non-existent issue.
Okay, got it.
Any other questions?
What utilities are in the barn?
Utilities.
Electric,
There's electric, and
is there sewer, is there?
is there a bathroom in the barn? Yeah, there's a bathroom in the barn, and the part where they were doing some manufacturing, I think part of it is air conditioned, isn't it?
They have the machine to cut the wood.
But that's in that work area that you talked
Yeah,
about.
work area, right?
But there is electric there?
Yes,
There's heat in there?
yes.
The whole barn or just partial?
Partial is heated.
Okay.
Yeah,
And a bathroom?
and better way.
Anything else? Next.
Mr. Colling?
Sir, solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes, I did.
Spell your last name.
Kolling.
Mr. Colling, what is your occupation?
I am a licensed professional planner in New Jersey.
And can you give the board the benefit of your educational and professional background?
Yes, in addition to being a licensed planner, I am certified by the AICP. I'm also a licensed landscape architect. I graduated from Rutgers in 1974. Been continuously employed in planning for now a little over 38 years. In early to mid 80s, I was a director of planning in Jersey City. During the 1990s, I was director of economic development in the city of Elizabeth. Served as vice president for planning and landscape architecture for a firm known as Fellows Reed and Toms River for several years. Currently, also was in my own sole private practice for about 7 or 8 years. And I'm currently the director of planning services for a firm called Dresner Robin, based in Jersey City.
We accept that.
Thank you, Mr.
Just
Chairman.
getting interested in listening to.
Yeah, it's pretty, keep going, that was great.
Okay. Mr. Colling, you were retained by the applicant to do a planning analysis in support of the D1 variance, which we are seeking this evening. Is that correct?
Yes, yes, it is.
And you are familiar with the subject property? You have visited the subject property, visited the surrounding neighborhood, have you not?
Yes, I did.
Are you also familiar with the zoning ordinance and master plan of the Township of Franklin?
Yes, I was able to review that as well.
Okay, and can you indicate to the board, in doing your visit, what is the character of the surrounding area around the subject property?
Well, at the south end down there along 27, I did notice that there were several other businesses similar to this. There were landscape businesses, plant nurseries, some automotive repair places, veterinarian hospital, and on both sides, both in South Brunswick and in Franklin, down and around that area. Residential and mixed use of those uses I just described. The property is used in the same way, and I think there's 2 other properties in that little strip of 2 or 3 acre, about 2 acre lots, I guess there are. 2 other businesses right along there on the same side of the highway.
Okay, and the property is in the RR3 zone, is it not?
Yes, it's in the RR3 zone. Looking at the tax map, I noted that where the property is located is sort of a cluster of lots, all of which are less than 3 acres. So I don't know if this would really be typical of the RR3 zone in Franklin.
And typically, when you're looking at RR3, which is a rural residential property, do you normally find those types of residential properties located along state highways generally, or are they more in more isolated areas off of major highways?
Well, I probably, when these were done, Route 27 wasn't as highly traveled. So, yeah, now at this point in time, I really wouldn't call it a typical RR3 type of area where you would see a lot of residential properties in that close proximity to the highway.
Okay. And I know Mr. Ford testified and the owner testified, but can you briefly, for the benefit of the board, just describe the subject property?
Right, there's a single-family home, which is closer to Route 27, and then the barn or warehouse structure toward the rear. There's also a shed on the site, and a fair amount of gravel that's used for parking and for circulation. I looked at there's a fence business operating on there. I did note that there was a sign. It did catch my eye, but to tell you the truth, I couldn't guess what the size of it was. And the fence business is being operated out of the site, or was being operated out of the site, and the home is used both as a residence and an office.
Okay, and you've heard the testimony concerning the proposed use, and can you compare it, at least in analyzing it from a planning perspective, as to the previously granted use variance for the fence business?
Well, as you heard, and I'll repeat some of it, but I'll try to keep it brief because I think the applicant covered everything for the most part. He'll continue to occupy or he will occupy the properties as his primary residence, similar to what's going on now. He will operate his business out of the garage or the barn, just as is happening now. And as he said, only a small part is being distributed from the site, so I don't believe that this will be any more intensive a use because of the fact that there is the direct distribution from the import sites. The primary function of the site really is more office related, from what I understand. There'll be the accounting operation going on, there'll be the bookkeeping, there'll be the technical support, which is done via phone and that sort of thing. So it's really more of an completely indoor operation, more office related. So in my opinion, it'll probably operate at quieter than the previous use, less noise. So I think that it'll be less intense from that perspective, notwithstanding the fact that there's actually the 2 additional employees, 2 and a half actually. So I think it's consistent with that. With the already approved use from that regard. I did, in looking at the tax records, note that this property is listed as being commercial on the tax records, I guess because of the previous variance that had been granted.
Okay. Now, in order for the board to grant a D1 variance, there are certain things that we must prove, which are both the positive and negative criteria. Can you indicate to the board what you believe are the positive criteria for the grant of this use variance?
Yes, you have to show the site suitability as a first step, and I think that the fact that this property is listed as a commercial property, and the fact that a use variance was previously granted, goes toward that site suitability. The surrounding area also contains businesses that are not dissimilar to this. And I think this will operate in a similar way, so I think that shows some compatibility with the surrounding area, which also goes to site suitability, as well as its location along Highway 27. This business will provide a service in an area which I think that can support the traffic that will come in, as minor as it will be because of this location on Route 27. In looking at the master plan, one of the goals mentions to locate employment and traffic drawing uses in areas where they will least impact residential neighborhoods, and certainly being along Route 27 goes to that goal or objective. The property, as I said, has already received a use variance, although it's admittedly not for this specific type of business, for a different business. However, I think the business will actually have a lesser impact. And as I was saying, that there should be less noise since there's no assembly done on site, only limited distribution directly from the site, and that's by primarily FedEx and UPS. The proposed use will be cleaner, less obtrusive in the neighborhood, so I think that's also shows a lesser impact. The percentage of building coverage will be reduced. The impervious coverage will also be reduced. And then, as I said, although there are less or more employees, I think they'll be less visible or noticeable because they're all their work is done in the building as an office use. So I think that shows a lesser impact. So I think in terms of the positive criteria, I think it's met because of the particular suitability, and also that the property is going to be brought into greater conformance with the bulk criteria. So I think that promotes the intent of the zone plan by bringing us into greater conformance with those bulk criteria. And in addition, I think that the granting of the variance will be a municipal action that will guide the appropriate use and development of the property in a manner that will promote the public health, safety, and welfare, which is consistent with the municipal land use law 40:55D-2A. Because we're making the site more conforming with the zone plan by reducing the number of buildings on the site, by reducing the building coverage, by reducing the impervious coverage. I think we're consistent with 40:55D-2C to provide light, air, and open space. And I think that also this property provides sufficient space in an appropriate location for this type of commercial use, which is consistent with NJSA 40:55D-2G. So I think we promote the purposes of zoning. In terms of the negative criteria, granting of the variance will not result in a substantial detriment to the zone plan, because a variance has already been granted for some use that's very similar, and this use, in my opinion, is less intensive, so there should be no additional impacts on the zone plan. And in fact, by coming into greater compliance with the bulk criteria, we're actually advancing the purposes of the zoning ordinance. And then there should be no substantial detriment on the general welfare, because as I pointed out, there are other businesses similar to this up and down 27. It's consistent with the character of the area. There's already been a use variance granted for a different type of use that, in my opinion, would be more impactful. So the granting of this variance would not result in any new substantial detriment.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Any board questions?
I just had one. It's not really related to the suitability, but if it's granted, does it trigger a state access management review
We would be
from
using,
DOT?
no, we would be using the existing driveway. I don't think it would require any state permits that would be necessary. We're not changing any of the entrances or exits. I think Mr. Ford can talk to it a little bit more than I do, but my understanding is if nothing changes, we don't need to go to DOT.
They passed that access management permits since the last business. When was the date of that?
1995 was the previous approval for this property.
Well, maybe it is. Did it ever have a permit?
I do not believe in 1995, when this was approved, that there was any requirement to get, notice had to be given to DOT as with any development application, and even in this application, notice was given to DOT, but there were no permits required in 1995. And it is my understanding that unless you're changing an access, then you don't need a new access permit.
Yeah, and the previous, I mean, access by truck was already, is already established, so the only thing is, you don't have to park a truck out in the road and people go around it or anything, they can get it off.
No, and that's why, again, going back to the meetings that we did have, we provided for the turnaround in the rear of the property. So it's not so much getting into the site. Historically, I have heard that on occasion the truck would pull in, drop something off, and then back out onto 27, which obviously is something you would want to avoid. And that's why this design was
Right.
provided so that, vehicles can turn around on site.
Does it handle a 53-foot trailer, or, I don't know what they, if they got a 40-foot, I could see that, or 220s, but some of those are 53.
Yeah, we don't get,
You got 40?
Yeah, we
You
got
get just
40.
40s?
Container through the ocean, the maximum is 40.
Yeah, right,
Yeah, 53 cannot be on the ship. Like a
right,
vessel.
right. But you don't have deliveries on 53s, okay.
Just as a point of comment, Carl our engineer is actually watching this. I'm not quite sure why, and he indicated that because it does not have more than 100 additional new trips over what time of period, there is no DOT permit required.
Okay. That was my concern.
My question probably isn't really for the planner. This is obviously not a tremendously intense use, and I think having the applicant reside in the house helps guarantee that. My concern sometimes is I hate to play what if. He's so successful there, he decides he needs a big, beautiful house someplace and wants to move. What actually happens there is if this approval is based on him living there.
Well,
Back,
he would be in violation of the approval. He'd have to come back and amend this approval.
all right,
Because-
so we all understand that. I think this property, if not properly supervised, could probably handle a lot more volume than what this use is projecting. And actually, I'd like to see it stay the way it is, so.
It is the proposal of this applicant to live there and to conduct his business there, and if that is one of the conditions that the board intends to impose, he will abide by it. If something were to change, and he's not planning on it, obviously, he's planning to live here, but if it does change, he would have to come back to the board and seek relief.
I think it is a tough condition, and if he doesn't want to change it, I just want to be sure that he does have to come back.
When we started this process, he was aware when we made the application that we needed, he needed, not that he needed to, he could have asked to have this approval without him residing there, but it was his intent all along to reside there, and that's what he is proposing.
All right, just so it's all understood, you yourself said this, we're treating this somewhat like a home occupation, but it isn't, and as you said, it isn't a home.
No, it isn't.
All right, any other questions?
Well, I just wanted to say that from the description and the of the suitability, I think it fits, and so I would recommend.
If I could speak to that very briefly. There is this small section of Route 27 that has a mixture of homes and businesses similar to this. Perhaps at the time when we redo our master plan, we might want to look at this area. Certainly, applying the neighborhood business zone or general business zone wouldn't be appropriate. And that allows retail development far more intensive than would ever be appropriate here. Every once in a while, when I look at a use variance, I think, well, if this was zoned, what would I recommend? And frankly, I would probably recommend something, this is almost like country commercial or something, something along those lines. It's very low intensity, 30% or less impervious, 10% building coverage, really no retail component to it. It's certainly similar in intensity to some of the surrounding commercial uses. In fact, some of the commercial uses, I think on the South Brunswick side, and I think even on the Franklin side, there's some landscaping businesses that actually have a retail component. So certainly this use would be less intensive than those uses, and particularly the fact that they're bringing it back closer to compliance in terms of building coverage and impervious, even, speaks to that even more.
Well, don't forget, some of those businesses you're referring to as you move south on 27 are actually in Franklin, even though they're on the other side of
Yeah,
street.
yeah, there are a few landscaping businesses in
I
particular.
I really don't have a problem. I agree with what you said. I think it's a tough condition. And but I think there's good reason to have it, just so everybody knows what's involved up front. There is a way out of it if he's willing to come back to the board again, because it really isn't a home occupation. So, any other questions? We'll open to the public if there is any general public who would like to say anything or ask any questions. If not, we'll close, and you need to say anything more, or?
I think my witnesses spoke very well, and as to the issue, I think Mr. Healy also summarized the zoning in the area, and I would respectfully request that the board grant the variance with some of the conditions that we agreed to and some of the conditions that were imposed in the staff reports, which we will comply with.
Okay, any discussion or motion?
What did you decide about the signage?
Signage.
The sign up, my recommendation would be that you work with staff to develop something that's appropriate as a condition.
I think
Well-
I think, which is fine for a location, I think you want to come to some maximum square footage, whether it's 5 feet, 4 feet, 6 feet, or whatever, just whatever the board thinks they're comfortable, and then we can find the correct.
You know what may make sense, Vince, because I think we're all guessing here, you know, the resolution is not going to be adopted, and perhaps we can go out there and see what's there or get some photographs, and then perhaps indicate that the board will grant a size variance, and we'll try to give you the exact dimensions between now and the time the resolution is adopted. I think we can perhaps say it's not going to be more than, you know, I would not think it'd be more than 20 square feet. It'd probably be somewhere less than that, but maybe we can cap it at 20, and if we can get a number less than that, after we talk with Mark and you and do a site visit, we can probably come up with an appropriate number.
Why don't you do that, meet with staff, make a recommendation, put it in the resolution, we'll read it before we vote on it, and it
Okay.
is what it is. I think, looking back, maybe the sign's not even there anymore since it's not functioning, but it might have actually been on the gate, so that when the gate was closed across the driveway, and you may not have seen it when I'm not totally senile yet, I might be approaching it. I know I've seen a sign there.
I was just past there recently, and there is a sign, but I honestly can't tell you where it is, so, whatever.
Anyway, again, we'll go back to a motion.
I'll move
Ask Carl.
130001, John Chen and Wu Zhen, with all the conditions as we had indicated this evening.
Second. Okay. Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. McCracken,
Yes.
Mr. Rich,
Yes.
Mr. Caldwell,
Yes.
Mr. Rosenthal,
Yes.
Mr. Reese,
Yes.
Chairman Thomas.
Yes, good luck with it.
Thank you very much.
And the meeting is adjourned.
There will be no meeting in 2 weeks. Both meetings in March are as of now booked, so we will have meetings in March unless something crazy happens, but 2 weeks you're off.